Well, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to this super special 120 program. Today we are celebrating Australia Day, the Australian way, and in just a few moments we're going to be speaking with the brand new Australian ambassador to Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. This will be his very first interview since arriving 2 weeks ago, and but now I know we're living in a melting pot of nationalities here in the UAE, so we're also going to be taking a look at actually what national identity really means, and that's in the second portion of our program today. So for our listeners, I put to you, are you an Australian living here in Dubai, and how long have you lived here? What are you doing to celebrate National Day? Or maybe you're not an Australian and you have friends. Maybe you're friends with an Australian. Why? What do you like about Australians? Have you been to Australia, or would you like to go? What do you think of when you think of Australia and Australians? So the question for today, though, that I'm going to put to all of our guests is, what makes Australia Australian? So if you'd like to join in on our conversation, send in your thoughts, or you can tweet me. Tweet any of your comments to me via my Twitter account, which is Desley Humphrey. Now, my usual partner in crime on the 120 show is not here, but replacing Carlo today is the ARN News Centre producer extraordinaire, reporter Tristan Mahol. Thank you very much for being here, Tristan.
Thank you, Desley.
Now, Tristan, you're not an Aussie.
No, I'm not.
But we won't hold that against you today. Tristan, you're of Irish descent, and it has been said that Aussies and the Irish do share a lot of the same sensibilities. So, but you've also lived in Brisbane.
I have.
Yes,
and so a few months in Brisbane, Sydney as well. Travelled around your beautiful country.
Very good, very good. So we have got lots and lots coming up on the program, but now we're going to cross to our very important guest on the show today. We're going to be introducing Australia's ambassador to the UAE, Pablo Kang. The ambassador is on the line now, and he joins us from Abu Dhabi. Ambassador, welcome.
Hi, Desley. Thanks very much.
Now, you are a senior career officer with the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and you were recently the Assistant Secretary of the International Organisation Branch. You've served as a High Commissioner in Vanuatu. You've also been Deputy Head of Mission in Manila, and you've also held postings in London. A first-generation Australian with Korean parents. Ambassador Kang, also you hail from Sydney. Avid cricket and tennis fan, but you've only been here for 2 weeks. Your small son and wife are here with you. How has the first fortnight gone?
Well, thanks, Desley, firstly, for that potted summary of my life. I'll put it better myself. Look, we've been here, as you say, 2 weeks as of yesterday, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind introduction, I guess. We had a sort of fairly rushed pack up back in Canberra to get here, but we're very excited and we're very happy to be here, and we've heard lots of very positive things, of course, both about the United Arab Emirates and also about Qatar, and really looking forward to, I guess, something like a 3-year posting in Abu Dhabi.
So, as you mentioned, it's a 3-year term. What are the objectives for an ambassador when you get given this mantle, and what are you hoping to achieve in your 3-year term?
Well, I guess any ambassador who starts a posting would want to leave the bilateral relationship in a better shape at the end of it than when he or she started. So I guess that's my basic performance description, if you like. I think we're quite lucky in terms of the United Arab Emirates. We have a very strong bilateral relationship, one that has really grown a lot in the last decade or so, and one I think that is it's very multifaceted. So we're not dominated by any particular issue. We have very strong defence and security links. We have very solid two-way trade and growing all the time, and we have pretty amazing people-to-people links when you consider how far away geographically our two countries are. And so I think all those things sort of make up the very vibrant and dynamic relationship that we have today, and I guess my brief will just be to try and build on that.
Now, with the UAE, there are a lot of Australians here. I believe there's between 13,000 and 15,000 Aussies here, but you guys have mentioned that there's only around 3,000 Aussies that are registered with the embassy. Why is it important for Australians to register with the embassy when they arrive here in the UAE?
Very good question, Desley, and I think in a nutshell what we have is a program called Smart Traveller, and one of the main things that embassies and high commissions and consulates like to do overseas, one of their main jobs is to try and ensure the safety and welfare of Australians abroad. As you know, there's so many Australians who live overseas nowadays, and of course a lot of Australians who really love to travel. In the unlikely event, however, from time to time you do have emergencies, natural disasters or political upheaval, and we saw that very clearly last year, for example, with the events in Egypt, which I think they just celebrated their first anniversary yesterday, and the earthquake and tsunami in Japan, and the earthquake in New Zealand. So at times like that, when you have lots of Australians overseas, it is a very difficult situation. We're trying to get in touch with people because we get messages from friends and family back home saying, my son or my brother or my daughter, I haven't heard from them, I hope they're okay. And we try and ascertain that all Australians are safe and accounted for, or if they're not, to try and assist them. Mm-hmm. And it really does help us in order to do this if we have contact details of people, so that, we look on Smart Travel and say, yes, we know this person is registered and, they live in Dubai and they work for this company and this is their phone number, so we can ring them up and say, look, are you all right? Of course, without that information, we can try and find out, but it just makes our job a lot easier. And in times of natural disasters or other calamities, there is an incredible amount of pressure from Australia to try and find loved ones who might be missing or unaccounted for overseas.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ambassador, your name, we have to go there. Pablo Kang is hardly Spanish, it's hardly Australian, and it's hardly Korean. It's got that mix there. Can you just give us it's one of the questions that people have asked me to ask you. Where has the name come from, and how did you get that name?
Yeah, fair enough. I get asked this quite a bit. My parents migrated from Korea to Australia in the 1960s, and so Kang is a Korean surname. In terms of my first name, it's basically just a name that I think is not very common in Australia, and I think that was something my parents just wanted to give me a rather different name. And it so happened that I think Pablo Picasso passed away just before I was born, so he was obviously in the news, and I thought, Pablo, well, let's try that.
Okay, and being Australia Day, firstly, I haven't said Happy Australia Day, but Happy Australia Day to you. The Australian of the Year was announced, Geoffrey Rush. Now, there's been some kind of people talking about, the relevance of Geoffrey Rush as an ambassador for Australia. What are your thoughts on his appointment as the Australian of the Year?
Well, he's a very iconic Australian, obviously, and he's been a fine actor for, a number of decades, and, going back to before he I guess, became internationally famous through his performance in Shine. And not just on screen, but also on stage, and he's a very committed Australian, and would just like to congratulate him. I think he'll be a fantastic ambassador for Australia.
Mm-hmm. And before we let you go, it is, after all, Australia Day today, and I believe that there is a public holiday in your offices. But what are your plans today? What are you up to? You're in Abu Dhabi at the moment?
Yeah, well, it's a holiday in name only, I think. People in the embassy aren't working today. We had a big function in Abu Dhabi last night, a National Day function to celebrate Australia Day. Today I've got a couple of functions here in Abu Dhabi for Australia Day. Then I'll go over to where you are, and I've got a TV interview, I think, on Dubai television. Then there's an Australia Day function in Dubai this evening. And then I've got to go to Dubai Airport. We have a couple of ministers who are transiting through the airport, so I'll meet and greet them overnight. So it'll be pretty busy.
Well, a very happy Australia Day to you, and welcome to the UAE. And we look forward to speaking with you often about all the interaction between the UAE and Australia. So welcome.
Thanks, Leslie. Thanks very much. Look forward to it.
Okay, now we must take a break, but we'll be back with plenty more from the 120 show after this.